Exercise set 5.4, constructing arguments about causes. So the objective for this exercise set is to give you practice constructing arguments about causes that follow rules 18 through 21. Tips for success. Begin by establishing that there's a correlation between the alleged cause and the effect. None of the questions below are trick questions. In every case, there really is a correlation. You might establish a correlation by citing sources, in which case you should be sure to follow rules 13 through 17. Alternatively, you might do this by giving examples. In such case, you should be sure to follow rules 7 through 11. Once you've established that a correlation exists, follow the steps you took in exercise set 5.1 and 5.2 to identify the most likely explanation for that correlation. You may need to do some research to answer these questions. Then, explain why you think your chosen explanation is the most likely one. Each question below asks whether one thing causes another. Use the rules in this chapter to settle on an answer to each question. Construct an argument to defend your answer. Sample. Do economic downturns cause anti-immigration sentiment in the United States? As Harvard economist Benjamin Friedman documented in his book The Moral Consequences of Economic Growth, anti-immigrant sentiment tends to rise in the United States during economic downturns. Friedman's book shows that this correlation has held since at least the 19th century. This is because economic downturns cause anti-immigration sentiment. During economic downturns, many people face very difficult circumstances, often for reasons beyond their control. In trying to cope with and understand these challenges, people look for obvious changes in their environment. Recent immigrants, by definition, bring change to their new country. Thus, it's easy for people to make an erroneous connection between the arrival of the most recent immigrants and the economic downturn. Because people blame immigrants for their economic hardships, anti-immigrant sentiment increases. This is more plausible than claiming that the correlation is a pure coincidence given how long it's gone on, or that anti-immigrant sentiment causes an economic downturn, since the anti-immigrant sentiment usually increases after the economy deteriorates. All right, let's look at another example. Does smoking cigarettes cause lung cancer? Smoking cigarettes does cause lung cancer. According to the fact sheet on the health effects of cigarette smoking on the CDC's website, men who smoke are 23 times more likely to develop lung cancer than men who don't, and female smokers are 13 times more likely to develop lung cancer than female non-smokers. Thus, there's a strong correlation between smoking and lung cancer. It's also implausible that getting lung cancer makes people smoke, since most people start smoking long before they get lung cancer. Furthermore, there's a clear mechanism by which smoking causes cancer. Cigarette smoke contains toxic chemicals. When smokers inhale these chemicals into their lungs, the chemical damaged cells in their lungs eventually lead to lung cancer. The existence of this mechanism, along with the strength of the correlation between smoking and cancer, makes it very unlikely that the correlation is simply a coincidence. So you'll notice that the format of these answers is that you consider if the connection makes sense one way, you consider if it makes sense the other way, and then you consider if it could possibly be a coincidence or if there's some third outside cause. We'll look at one more. Do earthquakes cause volcanic eruptions? Earthquakes do cause volcanic eruptions. A study by scientists at the University of Oxford reported on January 12, 2009 on the website Science Daily shows that large earthquakes are followed by up to 4 times as many volcanic eruptions as usual. The scientists suggest that earthquakes disturb the magma underneath nearby volcanoes. This leads to a buildup of pressure under the volcanoes, issuing in eruptions. The study's carefully statistical analysis shows that this is unlikely to be a coincidence. There's no obvious third factor causing both earthquakes and eruptions. Volcanic eruptions do cause earthquakes, which makes the causal connection between earthquakes and eruptions complicated. However, since the eruptions in the study happened after the large earthquakes, sometimes several months afterwards, the eruptions didn't cause these earthquakes. Thus, at least some large earthquakes cause volcanic eruptions.